I'm Josh Young from the New York University Department of Ophthalmology. Let me start this presentation with a question. Why should there be more than one course in any basic science field in ophthalmology? While the practice of medicine has advanced at an increasingly rapid rate, medical education remains invested in the 19th century idea of a theatrical performance by a professor. I want to show you an alternative that is easier and more interesting for the professor, more convenient and more engaging for the students, and more inclusive. Let's deconstruct a basic science lecture. Any lecture is composed of two parts: the core material, which is the portion that is repeated each time the lecture is given, and a second dynamic component of the lecture. Let's talk for a second about the dynamic component. When you add slides to an existing lecture or correct an error, you're adding new material. But the most significant portion of the dynamic part of a lecture is that part that is interactive. When lecturers complain about students reading transcripts rather than attending lectures, they inevitably say that students who don't attend miss out on the interchange with the lecturer. This is a completely valid point. But let's divorce this interactive portion, the QA or student problem-solving portion, from the static material, the core material of the lecture. The core material, the bulk of the lecture, is a performance. But it is a very 19th century idea that when you want to hear a piece performed, that you recruit a performer. We do not go to a concert hall every time we want to hear music. We use one of these. Similarly, it is an inefficient use of the professor's time to ask for a Broadway show every time we want to hear a lecture. This project involved an optics course I teach to ophthalmology residents. The course consists of 10 one-hour lectures given to the 21 residents at New York University. In preparation for recording, the 10-hour course was divided into 20 topics. Each of these 20 topics was recorded by means of a screen capture program. Each of these recordings was further divided by subtopic, each of which amounted to only a minute or two of lecture time. These subtopics were encoded as chapters in each recording. I'll demonstrate this to you in a second. This way, ophthalmology residents were able to navigate very quickly, a useful tool when reviewing the material for an exam. Finally, an RSS feed was written, allowing the recordings to be podcast. Let's see this in action. The computer that I use is a Macintosh, and this is just my screen background. First, we're going to launch iTunes, and we're going to go to the podcast section. Here we see OpenOptics. That's the course that I'm talking about. We're going to open it up, and we see that there are 20 lectures here. Let's pull one to experiment with. We're going to click on Simple Magnifiers, and you see the course playing in the lower left-hand corner of the screen. We can make it wider by stretching the margin, or click on it and open it in a separate, much larger window. Just like with music, we can scroll through the recording to get to a particular point in the lecture. And here you see the mouse movement is captured, and I will use this similarly to a laser pointer for the lecture. I'm going to click on the Chapters menu, and you see the individual subchapters within this lecture. Let's click on one to navigate right to it. Here we skip right to the topic of interest, which again is useful when reviewing this material for an examination. You can see that annotations can be made to the slides too. Let's talk about the results. Now, what we captured was the IP address data. Every time that you log onto a website, the server records the unique IP address for your computer. We capture that data as well as the location data where the user's computers reside. And we also tracked usage over time and bandwidth. This is the summary data, the monthly usage since the project was launched in July of 2007. Through February of 2008. And what you see with the red line there is the unique IP addresses for the users, which come out to be about 1,800 and change per month unique IP addresses. These are the countries accessing the course. You see about 57% of the viewers come from the U.S. And these are the cities by rank. I was gratified to see that my home city was number one. Interestingly to me, the second, the city with the second most users was Buenos Aires. More than 13,000 unique IP addresses were captured, and total, or about 1,800 per month, from more than 60 countries, and 2.7 gigabytes of data were transferred every week. Where do we go from here? The first thing is a classroom trial. What we are doing is cutting down the optics FaceTime with the lecture from 10 hours down to 6 and making it all interactive problem-solving time, with the prerequisite that the students review the podcast lectures first. And we're going to compare last year's standardized OCAP test scores to this year's test scores, which I should have by the end of April. I would like to invite any lecturer who wishes to submit a course to this Open Courseware free series. Anyone can access the material for free. We release it under a Creative Commons license, meaning that the lecturer still retains ownership to the lectures, and I'd be delighted to go over what this license means if anyone wants to approach me later on. And then finally, a request to spread the word about this project. And you notice I did not disclose my financial interest at the start of this lecture. That's because this is an unsponsored project, and I'm in fact paying for it out of pocket. And I would be delighted to speak to anyone or any company who would be interested in sponsoring this. Thank you very much.